ADOPhase1. My name is Nathan Reed, and this is a demo of my ADO.NET application for CSI 253 at Renton Technical College for Phase 1. This is a connected architecture assignment which connects to a database and performs various functions and includes a middle tier. So this uses inherited forms. My template form is this one right here. You can see I accidentally added some forms to it, but that's the base template. You can see my inherited elements. If we run the application, can add a user, browse users, which I added a few, search users, and view activity is not working as of yet because we have no sessions. To earn a B, we must allow the user to query specific records. So we can go by username, we can go by he wasn't there. What was his? Oh, huh. Or we can query by join date. These are users that I added yesterday. And then the user that I added today. My middle tier, that's handled with just simple queries on a data reader. And in my application programming, that's handled with list views, and a select query for each radio button. Of course, they have to actually enter something into the search options field to get a query back. The list views are a little bit interesting because there is no column count in the SQL data reader object. But since I know the exact number of fields that I'm going to get, my column count is the field count divided by 5. And that lets me iterate through the appropriate number of fields and add them to a list view without accessing the column count if there's multiple returns. More than just one user. To earn an A, I must encapsulate all database operations in a class module. I have done that, called DB middle tier. I can get data from a SQL statement, data from a parameterized query. Of course, at the moment this only takes a query and one parameter, so if you have multiple parameters, I'll have to write a different method for multiple parameters. This is my stored procedure. So, getting to that, let's go ahead and execute one of my stored procedures with ADOPhase1. I have a user called Dave Smith. Smith. User added. Go browse users. That is not working correctly. I'll have to look at that. But so this executes actually two stored procedures in this middle tier method. First, it executes insert into users, puts in their user ID, which is I believe that's globally unique identifier. And then it inserts into passwords, since passwords is a different table. And finally, it closes the connection since it's executing non-query. This is my stored procedure for insert into users. You can see it has my table values as parameters, and then inserts into users. Likewise for passwords. I also need to execute an aggregate query. So this is actually rolled in to a stored procedure. Called getUserCount, and this just counts the users using their user ID. And you can actually see this one in the application in Browse Users. Tells me the total number of users. Modify selected user is also not working yet, but I would prefer to use a data set to make modifications to the database. So I'm going to wait until I know a little bit more about data sets to implement that. Kitty has a lot to say about this particular program. In the middle tier, looks a little bit like this. Direction of the parameter for output count, or user count, is output, and it returns it. One other thing that I would like to mention is this is using a database hosted on Microsoft Azure, which made my life a lot easier. Students are eligible for a free SQL database through well, free Azure account through DreamSpark and can get a small SQL database through their Azure account. I had been originally coding this on a local instance of SQL Server, which was not bad. But of course, if you're programming it locally and you're using Windows authentication to get into your server, that database is stuck on that computer. So the new SQL database that I spun up on Microsoft Azure has just really helped me a lot. Thank you so much for watching. If you're stumbling upon this and wondering where you can get this to work with your Dropfile server that you're running right now, this software isn't live yet, and it does not actually interact with a Dropfile server. There are a couple things that I need to do first. I need to look into maybe if WCF can interact with the Dropfile server so that I can actually interact with the Dropfile server directly using maybe another application to spin up instances of that server or set sessions. The other thing is for user authentication, Dropfile uses some Python library to encrypt passwords. I'm not quite sure how to do that in C#, so I'm going to look into that. And then, of course, actually being able to output usernames, passwords, and user levels in a way that the Dropfile server can understand. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you again for the next phase. Have a wonderful day.